Kathy here from Kathy's Cute Creations. Today it is week 3 for Suddenly Summer Mystery Quilt. Today we're going to be making watermelon. I love watermelon. I'm going to tell you it is my favorite. When I was a kid, it was almost like every week when we would go to the store in the summertime, I'd say to my mom, let's get a watermelon, let's get a watermelon. Of course, there were 6 in our family, so it didn't last long, but that's when they had the great big huge long oval watermelons. And when we ate them outside on the patio, normally, you know, this is when they had seeds in them way back when, so we just spit the seeds out, and actually a watermelon plant grew at the corner of our patio. So the patio was cement, and when it grew, of course my parents knew what it was, I didn't know what it was, but they went ahead and let it grow. Okay, so we went ahead and we mowed the grass around, let it grow and let it grow, and we ended up with 2 great big huge watermelons. One of them was like 21 pounds. That was a good sized watermelon, and it was very, very sweet. And that was the first time I realized that you could just take the plant that you had and actually grow something from it. I didn't know it up to that point. I think I was like maybe 12, 10 or no, I must have been younger than that. I must have been like 10 or 11 years old when I figured that one out. So before we get started on our video, I wanted to show you the rotary cutter that I've been using recently, that I purchased, that I really, really like, better than my other rotary cutters. And it is this one here. And I will let you know where you can get it and all about it. So let's just take a look here down at the table. This is what it looks like. It is red, and it is the right-handed rotary cutter from Mattelli's, which I will put their name and everything on the screen as well as below. The blue-handled, which I don't have yet, I did order one because my sister is left-handed, and when I get it, I will show it to you. It is blue, and it looks just the opposite of this. So just imagine this looking like that over here, and the handle going to the left instead of the right. So when you grip your handle, you do this. So your wrist is not bent at an angle. So you have no kind of angles going on because you're going to go straight across the fabric, just like that. Now, let me get a piece of fabric and I will show you what I'm talking about. First off, to open it up, you roll it. And did you see how this clicked upward? Let me do it again for you. It is closed right now. Let me show you the bottom. That's closed. When it's open, this rolls and the blade is exposed. And what you do is you lay it down on the cutting board, roll it. This little thing moves upward, and now it's opened and ready to use. And all you do is come straight like that. No bending of anything. Nothing is bent. Your wrist is not bent. It's really, really sharp. They come in 2 sizes, the 45 as well as the 60. And if you get it in the 60, then you can use more layers of fabric to cut at one time. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our 3 by 5.5 inch rectangles and our 3 by 3, and we're going to make flying geese. Now you want to do right sides together and make sure you have your right sides. And we're going to mark our pink because we're going to sew this one first. We're going to cut this section off. We're going to fold it over like this. We're going to press it. We're going to put the next one on like this. We're going to sew it. We're going to cut this excess off. And we're going to go like that, and we're going to have flying geese, just like that. So let's do that first. Now keep in mind, you can change stitches these if you would like. Now I'm not starting on the corner. I did put a leader ender in there. I'm going to start off to the side here. You don't need to pin it if you don't want to. It's going to be up to you. Try to go on your line. Okay, I went ahead and I cut my end off, and because of the thickness of this, I shouldn't need a leader ender. We're going to try it. Got it lined up. I ironed it open, and then I will show you what else I did as soon as I get finished here. It works out fine. I don't need a leader ender on it because it's thick enough. And I'm going to show it to you after I go ahead and cut it and iron it open. All right, I lost my power there for a minute, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a 1/4 inch on my ruler and cut this off. Set that aside. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to iron this open. There we have our flying geese. I went ahead and I took my other 2 pieces these little pieces that I cut off, these two little pieces right here, and I am practice sewing to keep from stretching out the bias. And I went ahead and I made a half square triangle, which is what I'm going to do on all of mine. When you're done, you will have 8 of these, and then we'll go on. So go ahead and sew up the other 7 if you haven't chain stitched them yet. Alrighty, so when you're finished, you'll have 4 of these. Next, we're going to connect our 1.5 inch by 3 little rectangle. It's a little bitty thing like this, and we're going to put on the side of that. And then we're going to take our other, which we only have one left. It's a 3 by 3 3/4, and we're going to put it on the other end, on the right side, like that. Alrighty, we're going to start this over again. Let's see. I went to do the next step, and come to find out, I did my geese upside down. And upside down, I mean, you take your 3 inch by 3.5 inch, and you're supposed to put it on the right side with the goose looking down, but I put it on the left side, or the right side, with the goose looking up. So now we're going to do it again. So my goose is facing down. Now my goose is facing up to do the other side. And I'm not going to use a leader ender. I'm going to go really slow. One side I just got finished doing, and the entire thing, I guess my bobbin came undone. But I went to take them over there to the ironing board. Well, let's see here. Oh, it did it again. And I know I have adequate bobbin, so I don't quite know what's going on. Okay, I lost my video again, trying to just do the other side. Not only did I lose my video, but then my bobbin thread was not attached, so I'm having issues with it, and I'm not sure if I should just be changing out my bobbin or what's going on. Let me iron this, and I'll try the next one, and if the bobbin goes out again, I'll change out my bobbin. So you should have all 4 of them like this. The geese nose are going down, the little pieces on the left, the larger pieces on the right. The next thing we're going to use is our C and our D. Our C is our polka dot, our D is our gingham, or our checks, whatever you want to call it. And they want to put them in a row like this. So that's how we're going to sew it this time, making sure the goose nose is downward as you sew it. So E, D, C, and whatever colors you're going to use. Now go ahead and chain stitch yours, and I put pins to keep it straight for me because it's a long piece of fabric. The longer it is, the more it has a chance of distorting and getting away from you. Your top or your bottom will want to slide off, so you're going to hold on to that. Here's where we don't want to be taking off our goose nose. Where your 2 pieces of thread cross each other, you're going to take your pen, marker, pencil, whatever, you're going to put it right above that mark, and then we're going to go to the left and the right side, and then we want to sew on that line or to the right a little bit, but we don't want to go to the left or we'll take our tip off. Now when I pinned this, I pinned it on the very first fold here that has a seam so that I can keep it straight. I don't need to pin it up here at the very end because I'll put my needle in it and get it positioned correctly. Then I went to the other end of my fabric and pinned it. Then I pinned the next seam, and then that's when I came in the middle and I marked this before I actually pinned it. And there's only one spot to be marked. And now we'll do the other 3 just like this. Move on, we want to look at our tip and make sure we didn't take it off like that. And now it's telling you you can press this any way you want. So I'll take it over to the machine. I'll put my iron on it to relax it on both these seams. Then when I open it, what I'm going to do is I'll look to see the way it wants to go. And in this case, this is going to want to lay to the left, which is going to be downward. That's what we're doing right there. It's going to want to come down, which is that direction, because of the marking, and that's fine. That's the way I'll iron it. Whichever way that it wants to do it, that's the way I'm going to do it. So go ahead and finish up all the rest, and then we'll be back. Now you'll have 4 of these, and we're going to take the green, and we're going to attach them. Let me show you how we're going to set them up. Alrighty, so you're going to have 8, which are 1.5 by 7. You're going to put 2 on each rectangle that you've made so far. I'm going to put one on the right and one on the left. Then when we've attached those, we will put this long strip, which is a 2 by 11 3/4. So let's sew that together, and then we'll have one complete block done. All right, so I've pinned it where the intersection is here. No need to mark anything. We're just sewing along here. If your strip ends up being a lot, not a lot, I'm sorry. If your strip ends up being a little bit longer, that's fine. It just means that your stitch was off a little bit when you put them together. We can trim it when we're done. I'm just putting those in so they hold those down. It doesn't flip up on me. And now we're going to do the other side. Now notice it's my polka dotted fabric here. It's not the flying geese at this end when you put your strip on. It goes at the bottom, so the flying geese are still up at the top. Alrighty, now we have 4 of those finished up and we're ready to move on to the next page. So if you flip your page, it says we're going to take our 8 1/4 by 8 1/4 inch squares and we're going to be cutting them into half. Okay, so after we cut these diagonally, they want them both cut. So I'm not cutting them together. I'm separating them. And these are going to be considered number 1. And it doesn't make a difference whether you cut them right side up or face down. Just make sure you do it diagonally. You'll have 4 of them. Now you're going to take your 6 1/2 inch squares. That's the next size down. You have 2 of them. And you're going to slice them diagonally. And these are going to be called number 2. Just think of it as going from the largest square down to the smaller square. You're going to take the last one, which is the 5 1/2 inch square, and you're going to slice these and you're going to call these number 3. They want us to take our watermelon block. That's what they're calling this. They want us to fold it in half, find out where the middle is. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it from seam to seam just like this. That's my halfway mark. You're going to press it right here. Go to the other end, do the same thing. This way, if you're off anywhere, you're going to have it even if your strips and everything are off. If you line it up like this, see how I'm lining it up right there? It makes this the center, pressing on it. So you can see I got it up here and I got it down here. And it wants us to take the largest half square, the square that we just cut, the largest one, we're cutting it in, we've got it cut in half, and we're going to put it up against here. And what you want to do is make sure you get the middle, and you're going to put your right sides together, match up the middle, and then we're going to sew it. This way, if this is too long, that direction, or that direction, it doesn't make any difference. So let's say that this ended up meeting like this. Let's just pretend. Well, then I know that this strip is too long. I can go and check all my seams, make sure they're 1/4 inch. But if it's right, then I have this strip too long, which is fine. I just want to make sure that it's from the middle outward. Okay, that's what I'm trying to accomplish. I can always take off a piece on the side when I'm done, but I want to go from the middle outward to get it correct in size. And I'm going to put a pin. And now nothing needs to be marked or matched up or anything on here. Pinning it right there in the middle. That's my middle section. And I'm going to sew it from end to end. You know, I won't start at this very end down here, so I'm just going to slowly pin it along here. I'm going to do it up here at the intersection. See how this is off a little bit? I'm matching up my fabric, so I know that that's off, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. I can keep my eye on the white fabric. I'm not going to do any kind of cutting. No cutting. All I'm doing is pinning. Now, I'm going to start at this end. I'm not going to start at the corner down here. I'm going to come right here and begin. And then when I get done, I'll flip that over and do this corner. Okay, so I haven't started on the end. I've put my needle down, and I'm going to slowly start coming up here. I'm watching the white fabric, not paying attention to the green one that's overextended a little bit. Nothing to mark on here because we're at the bottom of that flying geese. We're not up at the top. We don't have any tips. I'm going to take this off and I'm going to flip it around. Put it upside down. You know what? We did have a spot to mark. Oh my gosh. Okay. One spot and I missed it. But I'll catch it on the next one. I'll show it to you. So I'm going to put my needle right in here. And it's right in the thread that I've already sewn. Because I'm just going to repeat sewing over it. And then I'm going to come straight off. And I'll show you what I forgot to mark, but since I was following the 1/4 inch on my fabric, I did not take my tip off. But let's take a look at it. I want to apologize for not catching that. But here's where there's a tip, and we'll mark it when we come back the other direction. And here's one, but I did not take mine off, but I'm going to show you how to mark it on the next fabric. I don't know why I didn't see that. I don't know why I missed it. Okay, so here's where it would normally be marked, right here. And then down at this end over here, right there. And then when you put your white, remember now we have to fold it in half because we want to get the center. We're going to mark it here in the middle. Now, if you have your correct 1/4 inch, just like me, when you sewed it before, you wouldn't have to worry about that. But if you're still new and you don't know, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put one here in the middle. And then when I have to put it on this end, I'll flip it over. And then I will pin it right here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pin it on this side so I can come off of my fabric when I do it. But I just want to make sure that I pin it down. Okay. And then I will pin it over here. Because I'll start right in here, but let me turn it over and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. And you know, you can pin this and flip it as many times as you want. You don't have to always do it on one side. So let's go ahead and do that. Since I have the pin the other direction there and I want to catch that, see, now I know that I have to catch that. I'm going to go ahead and come down here and sew off of this first. My 1/4 inch based on my fabric. You can start anywhere in your fabric that you want to start. There is no right or wrong way about doing this. It's whatever you're comfortable with and whatever works for you. Now, I know that I have to go over this spot right here. So I'm going to go ahead and put my needle back in where I've already sewn my 1/4 inch. You don't need to lock it because you're actually going over it, so it's like it's been sewed twice. I'm going to come along here and I'm watching for the spot that I've got to make sure I don't take my tip off. And then I just come straight over the top of it as I come up on my pins. One that has a mark on it that I've got to watch. I don't take my tip. We'll take it off and take a look at it. The first one underneath it. There it is. We didn't lose our tip on either one. So go ahead and do the next 2 blocks like that. Okay, so the way that I'm reading the directions are that you're putting the 3 closer to the 1 than the 2 block. So that's the way that I'm sewing it on here. Hopefully that is the correct way. Every time, I hate to say it, but every time I have to do some kind of wacky thing, something that's different, it never seems to work out for me. I either don't read the directions right or I don't understand them right. I'm going based on the picture and we're going to see how this works. It's the trimming of the block that's going to really get me. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. I'm going to do the other side. You know me. If it isn't right, I can always add lib to it because I've done it before on blocks. Anything to make it fit. Okay, so this is the way the block is supposed to look. So you'll have some of this sticking out, the greenery there, and some down here, and that will be trimmed off because now they want it to be 12.5 inches tall and 11 3/4 wide. Alrighty, so this is the way that it's supposed to look before you cut it. I cut 2 and they're both wrong. Therefore, I'm not cutting any more until I see the assembly of the quilt, and then I may be changing this block. That is just me. Right now, what they want you to do is take the block, turn it sideways like this. They want the block to be 12.5 inches tall and 11 3/4 wide. And yes, you're going to lose a little bit off the end. That's fine. And the bottom down here, but that's fine also. But like I said, I did it wrong twice already, and I'm not going to keep doing it because I don't want 4 different size blocks going on here. So I'm quitting and that's it. So like I said, when I get the assembly, then I will figure out what to do with it. So it's just going to be a little bit different than the actual quilt should be, but that's okay because I have some other fabric to use. I don't need this kind of fabric to use to make it. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry I cannot show you this cut because like I said, I did it wrong twice already. I don't want to be cutting into the last 2 blocks because I don't know what I'm going to do for the last week for when I assemble it. If you want, give it a thumbs up, make a comment, go ahead and click on the little bell to get more, I should say, more videos might have more mistakes in it, but at least you're going to see how I'm going to make it turn out right when it's all said and done. So I'm not upset about it. These things happen. Every time I got to cut something kind of wonky, I end up doing it wrong, and I don't know why, because I read the directions twice and it didn't help. I still messed it up. That's it for today, and I will see you next week for week 4, and hopefully I won't make a mistake in it. Maybe I need to read it 5 or 6 times. Beats the heck out of me. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.